Hey traders, it's John Fortune here with this week's weekly Forex forecast for the 18th to the 22nd of June 2018. As always, starting with the US dollar index and oil, we are going to run through a number of markets looking at the key levels of support and resistance in the process. And we're also going to be looking at some targets for the coming week and also in the weeks ahead. So without further ado, let's jump over to the charts and see where the money is this week. As always, starting with the US dollar index. Now, last week we were sitting above the 93.36 and we were looking for this to be an area where we could see price moving to the upside. And you can see we did have this explosive move off the ECB press conference last Thursday and we broke above the 93.81 and we currently sit above the key area of resistance at 94.30. Now, very simply put, going into this week, we are looking for further advances in the US dollar index. If we get a pullback and a retest of the 94.30, this is going to be a great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns and looking for a further continuation to the upside in the US dollar index. First of all, up to the next key area of resistance to the upside. You can see we just missed it last week at 95.15. And of course, if we get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside at the 95.45. Next, we have oil. Now, last week we were sitting right here in oil and we were looking for a pullback towards the 67.27 area. You can see we came up just short, but we did get this pullback before we were looking for further declines in oil down towards the target of the 64.05. Now, I personally have this, as do a number of our clients in the live room, from the 6700, and this was just one of a number of fantastic performing markets last week. I mean, we had some really super moves last week. So I hope you all made some nice profits last week. Going into this week, very simply put, we are approaching the first target here at the 64.05 from last week. So what we really need to see first of all here is a pullback. If we can get a retest of broken support turning resistance at the 65.57, this will be a great place once again to start to look for bearish formations and patterns down towards the first target set from last week, the 64.05. And if we get a breakthrough here, or if we get a breakthrough here without pulling back, underneath the 64.05, retesting as broken support turning resistance will be another great place to start once again to look for bearish formations and patterns down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target 2 at the 62.51. So the first pair we're going to look at is the euro dollar. Now, last week we were sitting in this range in the euro dollar and we were looking for one final retest of key area of resistance. You can see we tested it once over here and we tested it again over here before we had this really nice decline, and we stopped right at the target set from last week. We took out the target and we started to pull back a little bit. So very simply put, going into this week, we're just looking for a further correction in the euro dollar. If we get a retest of the broken support turning resistance at the 1.16590, this is going to be another great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns. And if we get the right kind of bearish formations and patterns in this area, we're going to be looking first of all down to the next key area of support to the downside at the 1.14460. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards target 2 and the next key area of support at the 1.12924. Next, we have pound dollar. Now, last week we were sitting right in this area in the pound dollar and we were looking, previously we had this turn at the key area of resistance, broken support turning resistance at the 1.34620 in the week before, and this was a good place we were looking to go short in previous forecasts, and we were looking for a potential last week one more retest of the key area of resistance, which we came very close to, but we didn't quite get it. But we did end up breaking all the way down and we came and took out the first target set from not just last week but 2 weeks ago at the 1.3275. And once again, we started to actually bounce from this area, I imagine, as people started to take profits in this area. And we're now looking for a further continuation to the downside in the pound dollar. So if we get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance around the 1.3356, this is a great place to once again start to look for bearish formations and patterns, either for a second position, and we in the room, we have this from up here, or if you're not involved in the pound dollar, this is a great place you can start once again to look for a new entry, looking for shorts down towards the next key area of support to the downside and target set at the 1.3041. Next, we have US dollar Japanese yen. Now, last week we actually started the week below the key area of broken support turning resistance at the 110.034. And so although we were looking for dollar strength overall last week, rules are rules, we were looking for potential shorts in the US dollar yen if circumstances arose in this area. And as you can see, we did pull back and we came straight through the 110.034 as we had that dollar strength coming into the markets last week. And what happened when we broke through here? We pulled back, we retested as broken resistance turning support, and we're now starting to make our way up towards the upside. So very simply put, just as we started the week below the 110.034 last week, we were looking for potential shorts. This week we start the week above key area of broken resistance turning support at the 110.034. If we get a pullback and one more retest of broken resistance turning support, this is once again going to be a great place to start to look for bullish formations and patterns. And we're looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside in target 1 at the 111.427. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking up towards target 2 at the 112.152. Next, we have Aussie dollar. Now, last week, Aussie dollar was another really nice pair to trade. We had this big sell-off to the downside, and you can see this all started from the area that we were highlighting in previous forecasts, the resistance, key resistance at 0.76458. And we had this decline taking out the first target set from last week, and we've continued down, and we are now starting the week approaching the next key area of support to the downside at 0.74155. So very simply put, if we get a pullback and a retest of broken support turning resistance at the 0.74755, this is going to be a great place to once again start to look for bearish formations and patterns. First of all, down to the key area of support at the 0.74155. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support to the downside at the 0.73333. Now, once again, if we just break straight through here, and I suspect we'll probably get a little bit of correction first, but if we do break straight through here, then we will once again be looking for the underside of the 0.74155 to provide a nice place to look for further declines in the Aussie dollar next week. Next, we have New Zealand dollar. Now, last week we were sitting right at key area of resistance at the 0.70415, and we said this was a great place to start once again to look for bearish formations and patterns and a decline in the New Zealand dollar. And we broke back down below key support as well at the 0.69882. You can see we were kind of in this range here. So very simply put, because we start the week down below key area of support at the 0.69882, we're looking for broken support to turn resistance. And if we get this kind of price action, this area here once again will be a great place to start to look for bearish formations and patterns, and looking to initiate shorts down towards the target set from last week at the 0.68180. And of course, if we get a break through here, we're going to be looking down towards the next key area of support and target 2 to the downside at the 0.67810. Next, we have US dollar Swiss franc. Now, we started the week last week below broken support turning resistance at 0.98908, and we did actually get a sell-off from this area. It came back and retested and started to sell off. But last week we ended up breaking through this key area of broken support, failed to hold as resistance off of the press conference that we had on Thursday, and we ended up coming above 2 key area of resistance to the upside, and we tested after we broke through here as support the 0.99556. So when you get news events, guys, you have to trade these slightly differently. You have to pay attention to these. And we ended up in the room actually filtering US dollar, Swiss franc, and US dollar yen to the downside, and we traded the US dollar strength in other markets coming up like this. And so you have to pay attention to these big news events when they come out. Okay, keep an eye out on the economic calendar for these news events, because you have to trade these slightly differently, because you are going to get volatility like this. So very simply put, this week, as we start the week above the key area of broken resistance turning support at 0.99556, we're looking for bullish formations and patterns to form in this area. And if we get the right kind of price action in this area, we're going to be looking at initiating longs up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and target set for the 1.00380. And if we can get a breakthrough here, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and target 2, the 1.00988. Next, we have US dollar CAD. Now, last week we were sitting above broken resistance turning support at the 1.29085, and ever since we've been holding above this area, we've been looking for further advances to the upside in the US dollar CAD. And you can see we have had this move now to the upside, and we are fast approaching the target set at the 1.31119. So going into this week, if we pull back before we get to the target and we start to retest broken resistance turning support at the 1.30544. This will be a great place once again to start to look for bullish formations and patterns, looking for longs up towards the first target here and the next key area resistance to the upside at the 1.31119. But if we break straight through here, or if we get a pullback first and then break through here, the other side of the 1.31119 is going to be another great place on a retest of broken resistance turning support. So once again, look for bullish formations and patterns. And if we get those patterns and that kind of price action, we're going to be looking up towards the next key area of resistance to the upside and target 2 set at the 1.34255. And last but not least, we have gold. Now, last week we were sitting below key area of broken support turning resistance at the 1304.25, and we said we were looking for further declines in gold, possibly after another retest of this key area of resistance, and we did actually get that, and we had a really nice decline in gold. And as you can see, I did mention last week, because of the continued correction in gold, we could be seeing a very strong sell-off, and we did have a very, very strong sell-off when we took out the target, and we finished the week just above the target here set from last week. So gold was a really nice market last week, and this decline was quite dramatic, really. So very simply put, going into this week, we are looking for a further decline in gold. However, first of all, we would like to see a correction, possibly a pullback to retest broken support turning resistance at the 1291.39. And if we get this kind of pullback and we get a reversal in this area, we get the right kind of bearish formations and patterns at the 1291.39. This is going to be a great place to once again start to look for shorts. And we're going to be looking down towards the target set and the next key area of support to the downside at the 1260.91. So that is it from me for this week, guys. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know by liking, sharing and subscribing. A big thank you to all of you who do that on a regular basis, and a big thank you to those of you who have subscribed to the channel so far. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you have a very profitable and successful week next week. The only thing left to say is take care and don't forget to trade safely.